I think right now is a very good time to bring this post back up. I posted this back in November when the market started to really heat up. And we didn't officially get alt season then because of Bitcoin dominance. It only broke down slightly. Today is a little bit of a different story. Now, I said back then that your time to position yourself is extremely limited now. And it was, and it still is even now. For an example, most of the altcoins that were starting to heat up during this time, because this was November 27th, most of the altcoins that started to heat up during that time, the time to actually buy them under significant levels or even at accumulation levels, it was impossible to do so anymore. XRP is a prime example of this, right? We had so much time to buy XRP between 20 to 50 cents, and then overnight it teleported to $3+. Today it's still extremely true, right? We still have a lot of altcoins in the space that are at great accumulation levels. They're at macro lows still, and that's why I do believe that it is extremely limited to buy these projects on the lows, because once things start to heat up, there's no turning back for quite some time. Now, I did say here that alt season lasts roughly 3 to 6 months from the starting point. It's the shortest period of the cycle, and the moves are very violent. You need to have your seeds planted ahead of time, or else you risk FOMOing into altcoins near the top. A very small percentage of retail investors are currently in this space with bags prepared from the bear market. We are now watching as the much larger percentage of the crowd flows back in. Running a YouTube channel and Discord in this space definitely helps realize when the crowd is returning and they are officially back. Now is the time to make sure that you are positioned before this next move in the market begins. This is going to be the most violent, the largest, and the craziest time that this market has to offer. But it's also the shortest period of the cycle. I want you all to make sure that you have a plan in place, because the next 3 to 6 months will be very wild. You could easily watch life-changing wealth disappear before your eyes. Write down your exit plan, abide by it regardless of what you see, what you hear, and what you are told. Profits can easily be taken from you, and the market will do just that if you don't take them. The time to officially lock in is now, and soon you will be paid heavily in profits from being patient, being vigilant, but most importantly, being prepared. Let's all make it this cycle and get paid. Now, obviously, this was a little bit of an impulsive post because the next 3 to 6 months weren't the best. In fact, it was only good up until about January. After that, we heard the tariff discussions, the trade war, which impacted the market. But the good news is that we had a lot more time to accumulate. Sorry for interrupting the video, but I have to let you guys know that I am now officially partnered up with ITrustCapital, the best platform out there for premium custody accounts and even crypto Roth IRAs. They offer 80+ digital assets, including even physical gold and silver. They have partnerships with some of the biggest players out there, and they also have full-on institutional grade security tied into these accounts, which is extremely important at a time where we are starting to see more and more crypto exchanges being hacked. And also, the best part about ITrustCapital is that it's 100% US-based support. And also, you can get $100 right now as a funding bonus if you sign up utilizing my link. There's going to be a link down in the description below, as well as in the comments below. If you go over here, you can just scroll down to the bottom and you could sign up utilizing my link, which allows you to get $100 in a funding bonus. And for a little bit more information here you have on their website, 0% no monthly annual fees, 1% cryptocurrency transaction fees, and then we also have the prices with gold and silver. So if you guys do want to go check this out, you guys are more than welcome to. I do think that this is the best platform to lock in on long-term crypto investments with, of course, the crypto IRA platform, which is tax advantaged. So with that being said, let's dive on in back to the video. Today, it seems as though altcoins are starting to wake up in a big way. On the daily, most altcoins are actually up, in a big way. On the weekly, it's pretty significant on the weekly. XRP is up 25.2%, Algo 45.5%. We have a ton of altcoins up in a huge way. And even right now, if we actually look at the top 100, just looking through here, we're seeing a sea of green. Okay, Bitcoin at 118,000 plus, Ethereum almost at 3,400, XRP still looking pretty good above $3, XLM 45 cents roughly. We also have SUI at almost $4, HBAR at 23 cents. On the weekly though, what's crazy about this is that Ethereum is up 20.6% compared to Bitcoin 6.4%, which is why I say right now, we could be witnessing that phase 2 of the cycle. We could be witnessing the start of alt season officially, which if we're thinking about 3 to 6 months, you know, that puts us in the time period between October to like roughly January for the market top. Now, obviously we take them one day at a time because we don't want to get impulsive here. But if we look at the market, I mean, the market is looking very good. Alt season, you know, is up 39 to out of 100 in terms of the altcoin season index. This is one of the highest ratings so far in the last couple months. The market cap of crypto is almost at $4 trillion as well. Now, we do need to be aware of the fear and greed index, right? Because we are in greed level. So, you know, we got to be a little bit cautious here just to be, you know, careful. But for the most part, you know, things are looking pretty good. And also the volume in the last 24 hours, I mean, Ethereum is up to $50 billion worth of trading volume in the last 24 hours almost. This is rallying against Bitcoin's $72.4 billion. Now, this is at a time where everyone is wondering, are we pushing into alt season yet? Well, I do think that the focus is still on Bitcoin. We keep hearing talks about Bitcoin. We're not hearing a lot of talks about Ethereum just yet, but I do think that give it a week, maybe 2, and what we are going to see is the Ethereum ETFs outperforming the Bitcoin ETFs. That's when everyone will start to pay attention to Ethereum. That's when we are officially in altcoin season. And that's why we focus on this index here. Now, outside of this, let's go over here to what we just heard from the Federal Reserve's Bostic. He said that he would hold off on cutting rates for now. This could be the big thing to focus on while we are in fear and greed levels, okay? Currently speaking, there is a 2.6% chance of a Fed rate cut decision happening in July. We are 13 days out. If we pump into the FOMC meeting and we get no rate cut, we just get a pause, I do think that the market could have a slight sell-off. I talked to you guys about what this would look like. I mentioned it many times. This is still the chart for Bitcoin, okay? Clear resistance up here. It's technically a little bit lower than 120.3K. It's like around 119.8, almost 119.9K. But I'm still expecting a potential retest of these lows here, okay? And I would love for the 112K, which is the May wick, right? We would love for this to hold. If we lose this, it could get very, very interesting very fast. And I mean interesting in a bearish way. So we want to actually hold 112K. We don't want to, see any move below that. We just want to see this fair value gap on the daily, because it's on the daily chart that there is a fair value gap here. We want to see this completely filled, or at least a midline retest of it before we have that next impulsive move to the upside. But I do believe that 130K plus is the next target. How high will Bitcoin go before we officially top out? I'm expecting somewhere between 150 to 170K, and that should happen by, like I said, October, towards like the end of this year. We could go much higher. I'm just giving you guys my thought process here. But outside of Bitcoin, the reason why altcoins haven't been getting hit while Bitcoin had that nice little sell-off and now we're just ranging is because of Bitcoin dominance. This continues to accelerate on the weekly. As you guys can see, this is a very bearish weekly candle. One of the most bearish candles since going back here to the beginning of May. And I want to watch this closely for us to actually lose these May lows. We want to actually completely take out these wicks. So the main thing that we're actually looking at here is losing this 61.9% level. If we lose this, we could be in for a major move, just like back here in 2021. Because the second that we lost the previous support zone, right? And I'm talking about this support here. All right, we were already in the middle of alt season here. We were starting to lose support going all the way back here to February of 2020, for an example. So just for reference, here we have the first major loss of support. Technically speaking, it's even the November 2020 lows too. Like if we were looking at weekly wicks, this was one of the major ones. We could actually see us gaining a lot of, or holding a lot of support here just on this floor. Once we lost that, it was a major wick to the, or it was actually a candle. So a major candle body pushed to the next support zone, going back here to September of 2020, also going all the way back here to June of 2019. After we lost that, there was basically no, floor to go off of besides some of these wicks here. And this was actually pretty weak support anyways. So it just got accelerated to the downside. That's what we want to watch over here. Now, the problem is that we do have a lot of support on Bitcoin dominance that has been formed because we've been pumping since 2022. But the main thing is that we want to see crucial support lost. Because after this support zone gets lost, the next key area of interest, in my opinion, from where we actually had a nice recovery, is the lows down here at about 54.5%. So this move on Bitcoin dominance that happens next could be pretty accelerated, which will lead to alt season, and it will lead to altcoins having that violent push to the upside. This is at a time where nobody's really paying attention to altcoins all that much because they're still focused on Bitcoin. But Ethereum dominance is starting to break back out, right? We're almost above 10.83%. We're trading on it. Once we break above this, we could reclaim major support and we could actually start trading very similar to this time back here before that next big wave to the upside actually happened in January of 2021, leading to alt season. And Ethereum Bitcoin is looking very, very good here. We start to break above that resistance that was being formed for, three. This is on the 3 week, by the way. This is three weekly candles in a row. And we finally started to break out in the end of June into the middle of July. And now we're breaking out. We're about to get, into this zone where, we retest this trend line. We might have a nice little sell off. But once we could actually flip this level, we could technically flip it into, regaining support, going back to the original impulsive move from March of 2021. So this is going to be a very exciting time for Ethereum if we could actually flip this, which if we're thinking about Ethereum, we also have to think about altcoins. XRP has been doing very good over the last couple days. In fact, today and on the 7-day, we're up in a big way. On the daily, we're up 5.32%. We're actually back above $3, which we love to see. We did hit $3 and almost 10 cents earlier today. And on the 7-day, we're up 25, almost 26%. On the monthly, we're up 35.5%. And we're getting close to retesting those yearly highs. We love to see this. And outside of XRP, XLM has been pretty boring for the most part. We had that nice impulsive move that was pretty significant as well. On the daily, we've just been kind of selling off in a downtrend, retesting support. And we're just waiting for the next big impulse move to actually happen here. I do believe that XLM will start to have that much larger breakout once we kind of cool off a little bit and then get that big push on altcoins again. In terms of HBAR, I know that HBAR has also been pretty boring over the last couple of days. It's the 7-day. This is the 1 month. So again, it's kind of in the same situation as XLM. This is a bull flag, by the way. So we're just bull flagging for the next big move here. In terms of SUI, I've been talking to you guys about the SUI chart for a bit of time now. We're starting to retest major macro higher time frame resistance here. This is from May. We got to just be a little bit cautious here until we get that big break over this. Once we do clear this, we do have a higher high on the chart, which is bullish structure, and then we can retarget the January highs. But altcoins still look very good here. XRP, probably one of the most bullish looking charts. But this is at a time where, like I said, Ethereum is starting to catch speed on Bitcoin. Everyone's still talking about Bitcoin. I talked about it even last night, right? Once we start to see Ethereum ETFs outperforming Bitcoin ETFs, so we start to see more inflows into them, everyone's going to be still talking about, wow, Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin here. I wonder if Ethereum can flip Bitcoin this cycle. And if we're really kind of talking about that, if we look at Ethereum to double from here to like $6,600, almost $6,700, you would need $800 billion in market cap. That's just for Ethereum to double. What about tripling? Because if we triple, that's almost $10,000. In fact, it would be a little bit over $10,000. If we triple, that's a $1.2 trillion market cap. I think that that's possible for Ethereum this cycle, believe it or not. A lot of people will call me crazy, but Bitcoin's at 2.3, almost $2.4 trillion in market cap. Everyone's expecting Bitcoin to go higher to 150K or 170K, maybe even 200K. And if we're really looking at that, I mean, you're almost talking about a $5 trillion market cap for Bitcoin alone. I think everyone is underestimating how big this cycle is going to be for altcoins and for the rest of this market. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.